My night shift began at sunset, and I clipped on my badge that read, Irene Volkova, Night Nurse. The hospital still smelled of bleach mixed with old dust, a scent I knew too well. Ward C had burned long ago, but its lights came on each night, so extra pay brought me here. The shaky elevator rattled to the 3rd floor, and the doors opened on a hallway that felt too dark. A huge sign warned, Ward C, keep out, in yellow tape stretched across the entrance, yet one empty wheelchair waited for me. I bent under the tape and stepped inside, hearing my own footsteps echo because no one walked here anymore. Patient files lay like fallen leaves, and one faded sheet said, Room 310, check again, but held no date or release stamp. Room 310 stood partly open, letting moonlight stripe the dusty beds, while an unplugged heart monitor showed a line that twitched. Before my hand reached the cord, the screen turned off on its own, and my own heart raced louder. Light laughter that sounded like a child drifted from a vent, even though no child had lived here in decades. At the nurse desk, a box of old toys sat, and a spinning top moved by itself until I asked, Who's here? Ancient TV screens blinked on by some power, showing empty corridors that suddenly held pale shapes, walking slow circles. When I blinked once, the shapes froze and faced the cameras as if they could really see me. A loud pop cut the power, red lamps flashed, and fresh, wet footprints appeared on tiles that were dry seconds before. The prints, large and small, walked toward hydrotherapy like a silent family leading me closer. In hydrotherapy, the air smelled of mold and pool water, and a ripple crossed the main tub for no reason. A patient bracelet floated above the water, turning until I read the name Marina Volkov, which matched my last name. The bracelet dropped and all lights died. Then the same band snapped onto my wrist while a cold female voice whispered, Sister, remember. Every stare down stretched longer than it should, and dark stains on the walls looked like silent screaming faces. I reached the records room instead of the lobby. Drawers slid open and loose papers spun around like a small storm. Thin ghosts formed in the pages and mouthed words like cold and help, then vanished into dust. A photo of Dr. Havel hit my chest, showing his stern face, but someone had carved a big smile over it. A note below warned, he hears now, and distant metal doors slammed shut all at once. The ceiling speaker crackled and played a broken lullaby that Marina once hummed, and my wristband warmed with every beat. I followed the tune into the glass sunroom, where dead plants drooped and a child's bed lay under hanging vines. A toy rabbit rested on the pillow, its plush chest rising like it breathed, then puffed dust in a tiny heartbeat shape. Under the rabbit, I found a chart for Elena V, 6 years old, marked for shock therapy, though the ending was burned away. Warm ash lined the letters E5 in my palm, and a small voice whispered, Lights hurt, before fading. Emergency lights flashed white, vines smoked, children screamed. Yet when I said, Elena, I'm here, darkness returned, and a tiny laugh thanked me. Red alarms blinked through every corridor, and dozens of ghost patients stood still between flashes, stepping closer each time. I sprinted into Pharmacy A, where sealed bottles boiled and labels bled the word dose, while broken glass hung in the air. In every shard I saw an older, exhausted version of myself giving medicine to invisible beds. One violet vial glowed with the label, Memory Serum, Its lid spun off, and the air filled with my mother's lilac perfume. Dr. Havel's deep voice said, "All treatment must end," and after I shouted that it was over, he ordered, "Room 401. The elevator failed, so I took rusty stairs to a door already unlocked, where a single chair waited under a bright lamp. Release papers and a pen lay beside it, and a note said, "Witness and free." I sat, straps loose, and signed each patient name while saying, "Released," and far away I heard chains dropping. The last page carried my own name, yet I wrote, "Listener, not prisoner." Then the sheet turned into light, and birds began to sing somewhere high above. Returning to Ward C, dusty footprints now ended at my shoes. Marina's file stayed open, smoke shaped her figure, and she whispered, "I froze here forever," before fading. Old sprinklers sprayed rusty water that showed faces inside each drop. Wheelchairs rocked softly, and ghost cards shuffled near the window. A joker card stitched with black thread flew at me, dripping red ink, and hissed when it touched the tiles. Many voices chanted drug doses and death dates. My badge shook, then snapped in midair, and I knew spirits wanted their stories told. I opened the oldest logbook and read every name aloud. With each name, a ceiling light turned off as though a soul left in peace. When I spoke Dr. Havel's full name, the pages shook, doors slammed, and his huge shadow spread across the glass wall. Flying pages left one file untouched. Child Ward Evacuation 1983, unsigned, which meant 23 children still waited for release. Small dusty footprints guided me downstairs. Crayons rolled and wrote, "Play with us," and porcelain masks on child beds turned to watch my light. I read Elena's official death note. Her mask cracked, and a cool wind pushed me toward the old shock room, where rusty machines sparked and child ghosts circled me while singing, "Finish the release." I found their ledger, blank under Havel's line. A ghost boy gave me a silver crayon, and when I signed, bright dust rose and the children vanished. Dr. Havel still stood in the doorway, eyes like cracked mirrors. He asked, "What about me?" So I handed him the ledger. He signed his own name, and his figure burst into bright pieces, drifting away like glitter. Real silence filled the halls, green exit signs glowed safe, and for the first time in months, my heartbeat slowed to normal. Dawn painted the windows soft pink, beds looked like beds again, and wheelchairs waited quietly for living people. At the gate, the night guard asked, "Quiet night?" And I said, "Peaceful now," while he stamped my time card and smiled. In the parking lot, the staff sign now read Irene Volkova, Listener, a new title that felt true because listening had set the lost voices free. I sat in my car and whispered, "If any of you ride with me, please stay silent," and the rear view mirror cleared while the open road lay ahead. The hospital shrank into fog behind me, and I knew new patients would arrive, but the old ones finally rested, teaching me we heal the living when we calm the dead.